One of it was cuisine. So I worked in a hotel for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
1 month I was working with a accountant, because that is also one of those brainy part of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Joining a hotel management institute, and I joined Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
Christ College that time under Bangalore University.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was studying in Christ, I got a scholarship to France.
Mm-hmm.
And then there I realized that I have a different flair for bakery and pastry.
Mm-hmm.
2017 is when Vinesh and me, who's the other partner of Lavonne, who became coach for Team India,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a beautiful thing, and we became part of this WorldSkills movement. Lavonne Academy is a place to teach baking and pastry in a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
It is also a place to unlearn and relearn the art of baking and pastry. The book is called as A Baker's Journey: The Science and the Art of Baking, and it is the first of its kind in the world. But if you are getting into the business of baking, I would suggest you to do a formative education in an institute. I'm not telling you have to study at Lavon. Any place is fine. According to the National Geographic Channel, the growth of baking in India is at 7% every year. By 2027, the challenge is going to be on a different level altogether.
Mm.
That you made a croissant and you are selling it at 40 rupees, 100% it is made with margarine inside that. Margarine is carcinogenous in nature.
Hello, all. Welcome back to my podcast. So, today I am honored to have Dr. Chef Avin with me. To be very specific, he is a co-founder, director of Lavonne Academy. He is also PhD holder in PhD in enology, right?
Yeah, you know, the study of wines.
Study of wine. Also, he is a bronze medalist from Bangalore University.
I don't know from where you picked this. Yeah.
And so that's it, a brief introduction of Chef Avin. I would hand it over to Chef Avin, and if I missed anything, so please go ahead and introduce yourself, Chef.
We are good. We are good. Yeah.
So, Chef Avin, I wanted to know how the passion of baking and pastries came into you and how you started your journey.
The passion for bakery and pastry came much more later,
Mm-hmm.
but passion for the food started, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I was very fascinated with what my mom and my grandmother used to cook and all that. And then while we were studying in 10th standard, we have something called as competency mapping.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just to understand which side of the brain is more powerful, more stronger, and so on and so forth. And then so when we did this,
Mm-hmm.
the whoever has analyzed this told me that you will be good in these things. And in Kerala, you have a long um, vacation after your 10th, before your 11th, and there's no 11th that time. It is the last batch of pre-degree in Kerala. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that I'm very old. This happened in 2002 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last batch of pre-degree. So now after the 10th, we had almost about 7 months of vacation before you join your pre-degree and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't allow me to sit at home. What they did was, my parents, what they did was, they allowed me to work in those places which the analyst told that will work out better for me.
Okay.
So one of it was cuisine. So I worked in a hotel for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
1 month I was working with a accountant, because that is also one of those brainy part of mine.
Mm-hmm.
One was an art enthusiast and a curator and things like that. And then out of the entire 5 things that I did during the vacation,
Mm-hmm.
I think there is something which I wanted to do throughout my life. I'm a person who leaves things
Mm-hmm.
after it loses its the charm, right? But and I don't regret. But getting into the bakery and pastry, so the first step after the 12th is to get onto uh, a college which teaches the skills.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the only option that point of time was um, joining a hotel management institute, and I joined Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
Christ College that time under Bangalore University.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was studying in Christ, I got a scholarship to France.
Mm-hmm.
And then there I realized that I have a different flair for bakery and pastry.
Mm-hmm.
And then there we have to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what amused me the most was bakery and pastry. And I used to handle shift because as students we had to handle a entire hotel there. It's
Mm-hmm.
a four-star hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then under that we worked in all the departments. But 1 year where I worked was bakery and pastry. And then when I came back, and there was no looking back
Okay.
to this. And then someone asked me what I want to do. That's when I joined the Taj,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I think I want to do a specialization in bakery and pastry,
Mm-hmm.
and it all started there. So bakery and pastry as an art, it was not evolved in India, but it evolved for me after working with some of those more chefs in France.
Okay. So you mentioned you joined. So I know you had worked in Taj and Orchid. So how was that journey basically? How that molded you into this line of baking and pastry? Was it you a baking and pastry chef over there, or you transformed yourself
So
from?
you join as a management trainee,
Mm-hmm.
and then you slowly get onto the hierarchy of that. And the last designation what I was holding was a junior pastry chef.
Mm-hmm.
Was in charge of 5 hotels and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what is so special about a hotel uh, kitchen
Mm-hmm.
is that you have a lot of support,
Mm-hmm.
and you cook food in higher quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So you have breakfast. Once the breakfast is cleared, then the lunch comes at 12 o'clock. Then there is a high tea that is happening between 3 and 6:30, 7 o'clock. The dinner is there. And on top of that, there are a lot of banquets. So now every banquet, every meal, we used to have about 30 dishes that comes from bakery and pastry alone. Right. So now that's what in a hotel every day is a new day, because you are not allowed to have this particular dish that you have put out as part of your menu again for the next 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're forced to innovate. And also wastage is one thing, so you have to control the wastage. You have to create new dishes. There should be new flavors. So that is good about the Orchid Hotel is that you should have two fruit based dessert, two wheat based dessert, uh, two sugar free,
Mm-hmm.
gluten free, lactose free, and all that. So it's a learning, and it doesn't get over, and you are not alone in this process.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of senior chefs who is guiding you through this process. Work hours was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but it just strengthened me in every walk of my life. Though the current generation cry about it, but if I'm anything today,
Mm-hmm.
it's only because of the discipline that this hotel and the chefs have given it to me.
Gotcha.
And I look up to them, and and I'm still in touch with every chef that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm stuck somewhere, for example, let's say I want a new plum cake recipe. I'm just giving an example. Last week I called the chef. I said, chef, you know what, I'm fed up with the same recipe over the years. I need a new recipe. He sent me 3 recipes and 3 different ways of making a plum cake.
Gotcha.
And where else you can practice this? The only place that is in a hotel.
So that's how you build a network, and you
That
got.
strengthened me. I'm not
That will-
talking about network.
Okay.
It's a continuous process.
Mhm.
But what strengthened me,
Mhm.
yes, that is the opportunity that I got to work in a hotel.
So where the passion came of teaching, being a mentor, or how you started that?
I never knew that I have passion for teaching.
Yeah.
But as part of the college work,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as part of the hotel work,
Mhm.
I used to go and work in a college. Um, as a teacher. So it's like a part-timer. It is so the knowledge dissemination is not only inside a hotel,
Mhm.
but it is your moral responsibility to give it out to the people who are really passionate about it. So I joined as a visiting faculty somewhere, and then I realized that I have a different flair for this.
Got
And now if you see my partners of Lavonne,
Mhm.
it all started in a college. It started in the college where there were students. I was a teacher, but they are skilled in their own way.
Mhm.
But I was good enough to bring out the best in them.
Got it.
So I mean, 5 years back, all the ITC hotels, majority of the ITC hotels in the world had pastry chefs from whom I taught.
Mhm.
Taj had a lot of pastry chefs uh, uh, whom I taught. All what I'm trying to tell you here is that I realized that later, but it is also my both my sisters, my mom, they were all teachers.
Mhm.
So I think I had that flair to teach things differently is what I feel. I think all my students will agree to it. Uh, though they will tell that I'm a strict teacher, whatever. But I teach things differently, the way I understood. So I'll tell you what makes me different in the teaching scenario is that when I was teaching in the university, I realized that everyone doesn't have the flair to learn in the way that you teach.
Mhm.
So someone is an kinesthetic learner, someone is a visual learner, someone is a auditory learner. That means someone will hear and learn, someone will see and learn, someone has to do it and learn.
Mhm.
So my 3 hours of lecture has a pedagogy which suited everyone in the class, because I was not knowing out of the 80 who is kinesthetic, who is auditing, auditory, and who is a visual learner. So I used to include, there was something for everyone in the class.
Got it.
So if you ask me if I'm a great teacher, probably I'm yet to explore that, but I enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
I love baking. I love to teach what I know in baking also. So if you ask me when did I realize, I'm yet to realize, but I know that I'm not a bad teacher for sure. Uh, I
That I
don't
know.
think any student will tell that I'm a bad teacher. I may not be the greatest of the teacher, but soon I'll be there.
Yeah, why I asked this question, when I was reading about you, I read it that you coached, mentored India team for the World Skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know about that journey. How was that journey? How was the students over there, and how you molded them into that, like the World Skills competition and all that?
So not only WorldSkills.
Uh-huh.
So WorldSkill is the first of its kind.
Mhm.
But before WorldSkills, I mean, we Lavonne became an active member of a WorldSkills
Mhm.
or coaching team for Team India since 2017.
Mhm.
But I was also coaching students to get jobs. I
Mhm.
was also coaching students for different competition which universities represents and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So 2017 is when Vinesh and me, who's the other partner of Lavonne, who became coach for Team India,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful thing, and we became part of this World Skills movement, and India became an active member of
Mhm.
World Skills,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth since 2008. But we have never converted any medals. We are participating since
Mhm.
2008, but we never won any medal till then. Probably in the regional and uh, European skills and things, but world skills is where all the continents comes together,
Correct.
right? So now, so there are 5 skills under hospitality. One is baking, second one is pastry,
Mhm.
then there is F&B service, there is reception, and there is cuisine. Cuisine
Mhm.
is one of the older skills.
Mhm.
Highest number of participants are for cuisine,
Mhm.
then followed by bakery, pastry, and so on. So how we became part of it, because I think we were the first academy in the country
Mhm.
which were giving specialized uh, uh, teaching and learning experience
Mhm.
in India since 2012.
Mhm.
June 23rd is when we started Lavonne. Why we started Lavonne? Because we were forced to go abroad to study, and whoever has gone abroad, they never made an attempt to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has to bell the cat, so we decided that we will start in a very humble way, and that's how Lavonne started. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is not not only teach and learn,
Mm-hmm.
but also I think it is our moral responsibility to take the country also to a world class level. So we are also the coach for Mondial Dupa, Coupe de Monde Blancherie, WorldSkills, and so forth. So we are an active member since 2017, Abu Dhabi. We were in Kazan, we were in Switzerland, and recently concluded. We were in France for
Yeah.
the WorldSkills as well.
So you are talking lots about Lavonne Academy. So what exactly is Lavonne Academy? If you can just give a brief about it.
Okay, Lavonne Academy is a place to teach baking and pastry in a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
It is also a place to unlearn and relearn the art of baking and pastry. As per the National Geographic Channel, every 3 seconds there is a job opportunity that is born in hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
But the country is worse.
Mm-hmm.
When we wanted to start an academy, was at least 60 years behind France in terms of its bakery and pastry. 60 is a number which I think is the right number. 60 years behind. Um, so our idea was to disseminate the knowledge that we have, and at the same time we also make an attempt to learn this every now and then and bring it back to the academia, and that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not only about what we know. We make a point that we have to go and learn something new every 2 years and come back and make it as part of the curriculum.
Okay.
As an attempt of this is when we bring the chef from abroad to teach our students, teach the instructors, because it's a never ending process.
Mm-hmm.
A trend, what is yesterday is not there today, what is tomorrow is not there day after tomorrow. So this is what we are trying. So we are trying to bridge a gap where what our teachers couldn't teach us
Mm-hmm.
is what we are trying to disseminate here.
Mm-hmm.
So academy is a place to research,
Mm-hmm.
it's a place to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's a place to contribute to the world of baking and right, baking and pastry, and also to the national development to an extent. So that's why we are part of National Skill Development Corporation. We are part of THSE, and so on and so forth. And that's what we do.
Okay. So one question, like the viewers who would be watching this podcast or listening this podcast, they might be thinking, why only Lavonne? Why we should go to Lavonne? Why we can't go to another academy? And one significant point about Lavonne
I
that you
mean,
would, yep,
you can go anywhere.
yeah, that's
I mean, no one is stopping you.
how you.
Everyone has a different pedagogy,
Mhm.
but our pedagogy is something which will match to the industry,
Mhm.
as well as to the what do you call uh, now what is happening in the industry
Mhm.
is also taught here.
Mhm.
I'm not telling other institutes are not teaching, but here it is also a place to create knowledge. See, now sun rises in the east,
Mhm.
and that's what it has been taught. But what is after that?
Got it.
Here it is not only about making a croissant, it is not all about making a shoe pastry,
Mhm.
but now how is that you are contributing to the existing knowledge?
Mhm.
That is what we research here at Lavonne.
Got
So it's a continuous process. It's
Mhm.
not going to get over here. If I'm there, not there, if if we exist in this world or not, it's a continuous process. So we have already given this authority to the coming generation to make this happen to the future generations altogether. So here is a place, if you already know about it, we are trying to unlearn and we relearn together. And it's a process for both the parties,
Mhm.
the teacher as well as for the student. There is something to learn from the student also. There's a lot to learn from the teacher also. And that's what, how it is different. This is the mentality that we follow at Lavonne. And also to make Lavonne as, I mean, also baking and pastry as a first choice career option for the people. Right now, what is it? Everyone wants to become an engineer. Everyone wants to become a doctor. In 2012, when we started, everyone was telling that what difference it is going to make. Why you need a school to do that? I said, and we were telling that we wanted to learn this, but no, there was no one to teach us. And someone has to bell the cat, and we decided to do it. And how it is different? We are the pioneers in the world of baking and pastry, and we are committed to creating new knowledge and also to the national development in terms of career and it's all the nitty-gritties that it requires.
Got it. So I wanted to ask this question first, but right now I remember it. So you're from Kochi, like you're from Ernakulam.
Yes, sir.
So how you came to Bangalore, then came up and set up this Lavonne Academy in Bangalore? How was that journey?
I seriously don't know how it happened, but I came here to study. So 2002, when I came to study hotel management, that is my exposure outside Kerala. Having said that, Kerala is a great place, but Bangalore is a melting pot of different cultures, which you will not see anywhere in the world. Let it be Mumbai, but it is not. But if you take 10 people here, let's understand where you from. Mumbai. You are from Pune. Akshay, where you from? She's from Chennai. I'm from Kerala. You tell me. I mean, did I stage this? No, right? But this is a melting pot. If you take 10 people, 2 Tamilians, 1 Malayali, 2 Kannadigas, you have people from the north, there is people from the northeast, and also foreigners who will be there in the 10 people that you are going to take it as a sampling in Bangalore. Is there any other better place to do this other than Bangalore? So Bangalore is a place where this trade is being taught to us, and I think it is time to give it back. And Bangalore gave it to us as a place to learn, and then we are teaching back to the people who wants to study baking and pastry in the state of Karnataka.
So Lavonne Academy, it's co-founded. So co-founder Vinesh Johnny, you were talking about a lot about.
And there is another person also, which is Lijo.
Okay.
So he's the most silent guy.
Yeah.
Probably the world doesn't know about him because he wanted to keep it that way. So probably your podcast will bring out Lijo, Chandi, Epen out of nowhere. But 3 of us, that's what.
So how you all met? So you in the initial stage you told that he was your student, Vinesh Johnny was your student. So how you all met and how?
Irrespective of whether it happened in that college or not, I mean, probably everyone had a vision to do something in this world. But baking and pastry is something which brought all of us together. So probably I joined Christ to teach. They joined Christ to learn. So we decided to partner up. I mean, because now also I feel that there were batches whom I taught before them, and there were batches I taught after them. But that bandwidth never matched with anyone else till now. I mean, to start something together, to be an entrepreneur, to be an edupreneur, more than anything else, I think that bandwidth matched correctly. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And why I joined Christ to teach, I mean, for nowhere I decided to join Christ University to teach, and then this was his plan. I mean, the God's plan to bring us together to start and contribute to this world. If I was not there, they would have found a space which is as challenging as this.
Got it. So next question is PhD in enology, and it's basically wine mixing and all that. So why?
No, it is the study of wine, but it is also the study of wine. Mean to say, it is study of VINE as well as WINE.
Okay.
So wine is a creeper, right? But grape is something from where you make a wine out of it. So across the world, when you say wine, it is made out of grape. India is also a new world wine region. Bangalore is the first vineyard in the country. I mean,
Mhm.
it is in Dodbellapur and
Okay.
so on and so
Mhm.
forth. But Maharashtra has
Yeah.
the highest number of vineyards in the
Mhm.
country, almost about 36. Bangalore is much behind. It's where
Mhm.
there are not more than 12 vineyards who make grapes for making wines.
Mhm.
This is what my study is.
Mhm.
So I did a study on how um, wine regions can contribute to the world of tourism and thereby improving the GDP of the country.
Mhm.
And almost about 8% of the GDP comes from tourism and tourism related project. And being a chef in France, it was a subject which you have to learn as a chef.
Mhm.
If you are a chef, you have to learn wines also, but no one has made an attempt to specialize in wine in the country.
Mhm.
Now there are so many, but no one has converted that into a thesis. And thesis is something which anyone in the world can have an access to.
Got it.
So I decided to do it, so to bring out wine and wine based tourism to the world.
Yep. So you are also an author. I would like you yourself to mention about it, the book name, everything. So when you thought you have that passion of writing a book, or you becoming an author for writing such a great book, I'll talk more about it going forward.
I never thought I will become an author, but the main reason why someone call you a professor,
Mm-hmm.
like, why professor? There are Why not teacher in a university? A professor is someone who profess.
Mm-hmm.
That means he is also responsible to teach what knowledge, also to create knowledge. And as a teacher, as a professor, it was my responsibility not only to teach what I know, but also to create a knowledge. Hence, there are two things what I did.
Mm-hmm.
One is writing a thesis
Mm-hmm.
because I created a knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And second, I was so fortunate that I got a scholarship. I went and worked with so many chefs around the world. And then, if I die with this knowledge within, I think that is the worst thing that I can do to my country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I decided to pen down what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took a different turn, and I said that everyone writes a recipe book. What is so challenging about it? I don't want to be a recipe contributor. My
Mm-hmm.
contribution is also to explain a recipe through the science
Mm-hmm.
as well as the art aspect of it. So recipe is the art,
Mm-hmm.
science is the science, and the anthropology is how it originated. What made them to create a product called as a croissant.
Yep.
And so I combined these three, and that's what this book is. The book is called as A Baker's Journey: The Science and the Art of Baking, and it is the first of its kind in the world, where a author has written down and has approached uh, a knowledge from the art, science, and the anthropology aspect of it. And that's what this book is. This book is available everywhere now. It is launched last week.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I took 13 years, and that's the second question.
Yeah.
I took 13 years. Whether I had to take 13 years, no, you would have finished this in 4 years technically.
Mm-hmm.
But I took 13 years because I thought that I was not ready to write a book.
Okay.
But I think thanks to my parents, I said they
Mm-hmm.
were all teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they told that your your responsibility is also not to teach what you know, but also to create knowledge. And that's why I wrote that book, and that's only the volume one.
Yep. So when you wrote the book, I just wanted to know your journey about it. Uh, like you are teaching, you are doing an entrepreneurship. So how was that journey of writing the book? Do you used to sit in a closed room and then write and then recheck it? And how was that journey?
I mean, I wish it was as easy as you told.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so fortunate this way. When I was teaching in the university,
Mm-hmm.
I was given 2 hours every day to write my book,
Okay.
because they were also equally responsible for this book to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about creating knowledge, and all these things are not being learned through books that I read.
Mhm.
It is by the teachers who showed the way and told that, you know what, Evin, if you're creating a knowledge, that is the biggest thing that you are doing. You are just following it. For example, let's say sun rises in the east. I know about it. I come to the classroom and I will tell sun rises in the east. Please write it down. That anyone can do.
Mm.
But creating that knowledge is the most challenging part. And did I sat down and wrote this? Yes, I wrote that. But that took almost about 9 years for me to do that, because you are also teaching, you are also creating food, you are also, because first being a chef,
Mhm.
that's what I am immensely proud about. So being a chef is the most important thing for me. Being a teacher is the second most important thing for me. Third one is being creating this knowledge is the third most important thing as far as a teacher is concerned.
Mhm.
So yeah, 10 years, and then it took almost about 4 years to convert that into a book format. So then I had to take help from teachers. So there was someone from Christ University who was checking on the science aspect of it, whether it is
Mhm.
right or wrong. There was someone from the history department who was checking the anthropology aspect of it. Someone from our side as chefs,
Mhm.
they were checking whether the recipe is correctly curated and so on and so forth, doing trials on the recipe before it is being put onto the book. So yeah.
So now you mentioned one thing, like everyone is making recipe books. Okay, that's something different, and you're sharing your entire knowledge, and people hesitate to share knowledge. As you know, in this current world, everything is competition, right?
Right.
And people try to restrict themselves. They don't give their knowledge. So how you came up from that, and you thought, no, it's a time that I need to share the knowledge and I need to educate everyone through my book. So how was that?
But if you see
Mhm.
that, if you are speaking in English to me, right?
Mhm.
It is taught to you, right?
Yep.
You are not born as an English speaking child to your parents,
Correct.
right? So my understanding is that you speak Marathi really
Mhm.
well. You can read, write,
Mhm.
but someone taught you, right?
Mhm.
And you didn't create Marathi.
Mhm.
But if your teachers have decided not to teach you,
Teach.
you wouldn't have spoken about it.
Mhm.
Or we will be still communicating in sign languages
Yep.
probably. So everything in this world is been given to us. It
Mhm.
is not that you have created it. Creation of a knowledge is your responsibility, and it is your civil right to do so.
Mhm.
For example, let's say the flour. The flour in India is not the flour in France. In France, when we were working, everything was perfect. Butter was perfect. Water was perfect. Yeast was perfect. We, if you use the same recipe what we followed in France, it will be a bad scene in India.
India.
Why it is a bad scene? Because it will not work in India, because our flour is different, our butter is different, our sugar is different, our yeast is sugar, everything is different. Now you create a knowledge. Now you're forced to create a baguette out of the flour that is in front of you. To import this flour, you have to pay 140 rupees per kg.
Mhm.
Now you create the same thing with the flour around you. That is a creation of a knowledge, and that's what I did. All what I did was, what is around me, I
Mhm.
converted into an international product.
Okay.
So if a baguette is been judged on the basis of the scoring that has been done, the color that has been done, the vultures that has been created on that, the crumb that is there inside, the taste what has been created inside, with the flour and the water and the yeast and the sugar that is around you, and that is when you create a knowledge.
God.
So yeah, creating a person
Mhm.
according to the flour that is available around you. And there is another one. I mean, if you see, um, you have a formula to find out the single fold, the
Mhm.
number of layers that is being, but no one has created a formula on double fold. That is there in my book.
God.
I would have kept it myself.
Yeah.
And why you have to find these layers? No, you don't have to find this number of layers in a croissant. But I know for a fact that when you follow this particular recipe, it will create about 53 layers inside the croissant, or 72 layers. We follow a 72
Mm.
layer croissant in our cafe, and so on and so forth.
So you took 13 years to write this book. So, and also you mentioned this is the volume one. So how going forward? Would it be volume two, volume three, and what would be the time frame of it?
Frankly speaking, it's already been written. So
Okay.
5-volume book is what it has been written in 13 years.
Oh,
Now the publisher told that nothing doing. You can't do all this 1,200 pages in one shot. Why can't we divide into 5 parts? And that's how the second, third, fourth, and the fifth is
to come.
it's also ready,
Okay.
but it needs to be published and it has to be. I mean, writing is the easiest part, but
Publishing.
publishing is the most difficult.
So how you found out your publisher? Like, was there any help?
So during the COVID, then there was a lot of pressure,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, there's a lot of time in your hand. I've never sat in one place in my life till then. So under the COVID time, I wrote to 5 publishers,
Mm-hmm.
and the second publisher who replied back to my mail,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go with that publisher. It's based out of United States. It's
Mm-hmm.
called as a Pastry, and they are in Asia. They are based in Singapore.
Mhm.
So there were a lot other publisher also
Yep.
got back to me in that time, but they are the first one to tell me that there is a potential to publish this.
Got it.
So I decided to go with them. But there were bigger publishers who approached after that. But I think it is my moral responsibility to go with the first one who gave me that opportunity, and also instill that confidence that, you know what, yeah, this is a world class opportunity for you to publish.
Got it. Okay. So how is baking and pastry evolving in India? Because you have started Lavonne Academy in 2012. It's like almost like 12 years right now.
Yeah.
So how it is evolved in India?
I think someone had to show the way,
Mhm.
right? And we decided to show that path,
Mhm.
right? Now there are so many other schools which came later,
Mhm.
but the fact is that if we haven't if we wouldn't have made that attempt to show to the world that there is potential to have a baking and a pastry school, I think everyone will go abroad to study, and whoever has gone abroad has never made an attempt to come back. So now we want to stop the brainstorming. We have to stop it, and that's how Lavonne originated. It was a place to uh, to share like-minded people who are interested in bakery and pastry. Never, the intention was not to create 10,000 people. So wants to at least 10 people are there. We'll teach them what we know, and that is what the bakery and pastry. Now evolving, we showed the path. Now we were when we started, India would have been at least 60 years behind France, or probably 30 years behind Malaysia when it comes to Malaysia. I'm talking about. It's not even a baking country, but now we could bridge this gap, a potential gap, what the time that a pastry chef has taken to become a pastry.
Mhm.
So what we did was we tried to bring a slice of Europe to India and bridge this gap to make this a job that people could make it as a passionate one, and that is what Lavonne is about. So we were only a slate
Mhm.
for them to write baking and pastry, but someone had to create a slate, so we decided to be the pioneers in that. If we were not there, it would have taken some more years for them to create this space.
So your book mentions science in the art of baking, right?
That's right.
Yep. So why science is very much important for a baker?
The easiest way to understand baking is through science.
Mhm.
And though I don't have a science background, after 10th I never took science as much, but I realized that without science it is impossible for you to explain art.
Mhm.
It is impossible for you to explain a topic.
Got it.
If you see the evolution of, let's say, universities in the world, the only discipline that was taught was maths and science. Everything else evolved from there. Then came the sociology.
Right.
From the sociology, then came the management and things like that, right?
Mhm.
But question is, why science important? Science is the most critical for any knowledge for that matter. For example, let's say you studied what? What did you study?
BSc in electronics.
BSc in electronics. So I don't have to teach you. What did you study? Advertising. So why was advertising important to the world? Where did
People advertise their product.
why
They want to sell their product.
why
They
why?
want people to know about their product.
So before advertising came, how they were making it obvious to the world that what, I've created a product.
Print, press.
Correct. So all these are scientific matters, right? It's all science.
Mhm.
If someone wouldn't have created, let's say, a printing press,
Mhm.
no one would have been. I mean, how did you communicate it to me first? You send me a message,
Yeah.
right? And we replied. It's technology. It's the science, the extension of the science.
Mhm.
I believe that to be a baker
Mhm.
is one thing. To be a great baker, you should know the science. So though I don't have that science background, but I made an attempt to include science as part of this particular book because I believe that the only way to understand baking is through science.
Got it. So why I asked
Art and anthropology has its limitations, so that's why
Mhm.
science is easier.
why I asked this question, because as you know, there are lots of home bakers. Okay, I just wanted to go into, I don't want to demean anyone, but there are lots of home bakers. They try to sell their pastries, okay, and they are making their own businesses.
Yeah.
But when they come to a premium cafe, like suppose Lavonne and all that, they always think like people have double minded of India, right? Why it is a more expensive product here? Why we get that product, same product outside? So people do not understand the science behind it. So I just wanted to let you know how can people understand that and how can they differentiate it.
Home baking is a big thing.
Mhm.
It's a great thing that you are doing.
Mm.
But think about a situation that the government is going to come and tell that what, just because I know a cure for headache, that doesn't make you a doctor. The government is going to tell, or the education policy is going to tell that what, you need a license to bake.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get the license? By studying it formally,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't have a formal education, you are not supposed to bake. But as of now, everything is fine. But think about a situation if something happens to the food that you created
Mm-hmm.
because of your negligence, and something happened to it. So who will be responsible for their life? But home baking is very good. That is to understand the passion for this. But on a long run, you need a formative education to take it to the next level. You can still bake. My mom and my dad and my sisters bake, but they are not formally baking it. They are baking it for the fun part of it. But if you are getting into the business of baking, I would suggest you to do a formative education in an institute. I'm not telling you have to study at Lavonne. Any place is fine, but get that formal education before you bake. I think the things are approached differently when you study in a college, when you study in a place where baking and pastry is being taught officially.
Got it. So how can a student, like I don't know anything about baking, suppose I am coming to Lavonne, how can, so I just wanted you to let you know how a journey of a student, if he or she is approaching Lavonne to start their career as a baker.
So what we do at Lavonne is that if someone is coming to Lavonne telling that I want to do baking,
Mm.
we don't give them admission then and there.
Mm-hmm.
We ask them to do a weekend course and see whether this is something which you want to specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a weekend course and then they come back and they will tell that what, I don't mind doing this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give them or if you have a prior experience in baking, then we take them as a student immediately.
Mm.
But if you don't know, if you are confused about what you want to do, then we we have counseling. We give them a class on a Saturday to be part of it and to see whether they really want to do this or not.
Mm-hmm. And what is the journey like? How long is the course duration?
So at this point of time, we are doing a diploma.
Mhm.
We do 1,080 hours of program. That is anywhere between 5 to 7 months. 5 is just
A number.
just a number, but it takes about 7 months for you to do it. And in this, there are 3 parts to it. That is the basic, intermediate, and advanced part of it. And then basic is where you teach them, you introduce them to the world of ingredients, to the basic theory. And the one level up is the intermediary, and the level highest is the advanced level.
And what after that, once they complete it?
So we insist that they have to do internship, and also as part of the program, we also teach them how to make brownie, but also how to sell a brownie. So entrepreneurial aspect of it, entrepreneurial science is also part of the program. And then, but we insist that they should work in the industry for minimum 2 years before they start something. So why 2 years? Because it is for them. So for example, let's say how many times you would have learned how to make a croissant in the 7 a month? Probably 6 times. 6 days you would have learned croissants and whatsoever it is. Every day you cannot make croissants, because the limitation of a university or a college is that the work is only to introduce you to a world. For example, let's say I'm extremely passionate about creating a baguette or a croissant. Probably your interest is in chocolaterie. Your interest might be in sugar. So my work is to show you a path. Now, whether you want to take that path or different path is up to you. So that is the limitation inside a university, inside a college, inside a institute. So that's what we do. We counsel them initially. Then we ask them to write about why you do want to do this course. And then we look forward for certain keywords which we are looking, which matches with the profession that they are going to do. If it matches, we give you an admission. If it doesn't matches, we don't give you an admission, because we feel that someone else deserve to be in that particular space or not. And then in the 7 months, we introduce you to the world of baking and pastry. And then if they say after 7 months they want, you know what, I want to start something, then we'll insist that you should go and work in the industry for minimum 2 years. That is 1 year in a hotel and 1 year in a standalone space. And then we continue the support by giving them entrepreneurial support in whatever way it could be a consulting, it could be anything. But yeah, we handhold them for the rest of their lives.
So I wanted to know, like, you have been teaching in Lavonne since like Lavonne, and before that also in university. So any challenging stuff that had occurred that is coming in your mind? There might be a lot of stuff. The one challenge that you have faced, and that is still you remember that.
So for example, in 2008, when I started teaching in Christ, students never knew what a choux pastry is, or they have not experienced a choux pastry. I'm just random example. I mean, may not be that. Or let's say they never knew what a croissant was, or what an opera was. But in 2020, that's the main challenge of teaching, is that 2020, every student know what it is, because you are connected to internet, you are connected to the World Wide Web, and there is ChatGPT to everything that supports your knowledge. That time, the only place there you used to get this knowledge is from a library. But how many of them have made use of a library? So while a teacher teaches, they couldn't connect it. Or my time, I couldn't connect. When they say this particular wine is from the south of France, it is from the region of Languedoc-Roussillon, the name of the wine is Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and I never knew what was Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I have not seen a Nîmes, south of France. I have not seen Languedoc-Roussillon, the region. But when I visited Languedoc-Roussillon, I knew what exactly the wine my teacher was talking about. Now that gap has been filled in 2020, in 2024, where the students know when they ask a question. They know when they say that an eclair is made this way. When before the teacher finishes telling this, they know that, you know what, this particular chef makes this eclair in this way. Are we going to make it that way? So now it is more challenging,
Challenging.
because the students already know what it is.
Mhm.
2008, that was not the time. And forget about when I was studying my hotel management. We just by hearted, let's say, when say a Mont Blanc, we used to pronounce a Mont Blanc
Yeah.
without knowing how to pronounce this correctly. We made a Mont Blanc sauce, but never knowing what exactly this Mont Blanc is and where is Mont Blanc is. But now that gap has been already been filled.
Okay.
Hope I answered your question.
Yeah. So, what is the future of baking and pastry in India?
Oh, super. I mean, that is a question that I always wanted to answer. Thank you for asking this question. No one has asked me this question before. According to the National Geographic Channel, the growth of baking in India is at 7% every year. By 2027, the challenge is going to be on a different level altogether.
Hmm.
So, if you're still thinking about entrepreneurship in baking, I would suggest you to go ahead and do it, because the best year for baking is yet to come. That is probably you will start seeing it, because the government policies are also
Changing.
very well, because this time budget, government has given predominant importance to skilling, and out of the 55 skills that government has identified, baking and pastry,
Yes.
there are two skills in this. So it is growing at a CVGR of 12.3,
Mhm.
which is, I think it is a best phenomenon. Out of the 80 students this batch, I have 37 engineers, 4 doctors, 3 architects. Why? Because we joined a program even before we were adults.
Hmm.
We were in first year of college when we were 16 and a half or going to 17. We were not even matured enough to take a decision by ourselves that time.
Correct.
Or our Aadhaar card came, I mean, not the Aadhaar card, voter's ID came. Our driver's license is at 18.
18.
Education is at 16 and a half. It is not making any sense. So there is a huge gap. Coming years,
Mhm.
till 2032, that's the only information that is available with me right now. Probably you might have a different number altogether. My reading says that 2032, I don't have to be worried about it if you have the skills.
Gotcha.
So since you said that you are going to get into entrepreneurship, I think close your eyes and do it. You are being trained, you are being correctly taught. Get into this, you will not regret till 2032.
So, one question, like you also have Lavonne Cafe right now,
Yeah.
okay? Lavonne Academy and Lavonne Cafe.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference between like an academy? Why you started a cafe? Like, was it your vertical thing that you were thinking about to start a cafe, or why did you stick into the academy stuff itself?
So the idea at Lavonne, how we our pedagogy is
Mm.
different from the rest of the pastry schools across the world,
Mhm.
is that the cafe is a place for our students to practice the skills. So that's what I told.
Mm.
We teach them how to make a brownie. We also teach them how to sell a brownie, and that's exactly what the cafe is. Our cafe is called as practice school.
Okay.
So it is called as Lavonne Practice School,
Mhm.
where the students are taught how to do the front of the house, also the back of the house.
Got it.
Our USP is also, as I explained, it is
Mhm.
not only about making a brownie, it is not all about making a cake.
Mhm.
It is also our responsibility to teach them how to sell this also. And that's what we do.
So a person who might be listening this podcast or seeing this podcast, they want to start and like career into baking and pastry.
Yeah.
So what would be that one message that you want to give that aspirant? Like what should they do, or how should they channelize? Like this is the passion that they have to follow, or they can go into baking and pastries.
First thing I want to talk about is that everyone thinks that the education outside India is much more greater than in our country, especially when it comes to baking and pastry, where it originated in Europe or America also has pumped in the technical way of teaching baking and pastry, all that. But our country also got some of the best pastry baking and pastry schools in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing is that don't think that your country is inferior to anyone.
Mm.
Point number one. point number two, second thing is about passion is something which will make you identify what you want to do in the rest of the life. Having said that, passion is not going to fill your stomach. Through the passion, you have to find a way to be secured in the society. And when I say that, money is what I am talking about. So you passion can't fill your stomach, so you have to find a way to make money also. But if you are extremely passionate about what you want to do, let it be baking, let it be driving, let it be anything, and make best use of what you are exposed to. So how we can do this? Only by studying in a great school, only by working in a great place, only by working under great chef, and then the entrepreneurship comes by itself.
One important question that I wanted to ask you, like when my wife, she's also, when she did the baking and courses, so people used to think like the courses might not charge that big and all that. They always think why it is charged so, like so much. I don't want to give that number, but why it is like that? Why it is charged in a higher side?
Because to produce a great food, you need great ingredients, and unfortunately, the ingredients doesn't grow in India. For example, you are talking about creme brulee, and then you are trying to make it with the cream that is available in India or the sugar that is available in India. There is a huge gap between that, right? For example, you are talking about creme brulee and you are using a cream, and India produces a cream of 25% fat. A creme brulee is never made with a 25% cream. You need a higher fat content in that. I mean, or let's say I'm talking about a chocolate mousse. And in India, you have two types of chocolate that is available. One is a compound chocolate. Where the chocolate company remove the cocoa butter and sell it to the cosmetic companies, and they make a different product out of it. And then what happens is that you need a cocoa butter, you remove the cocoa butter and you add refined oil into that. The cost will come down to 1/4 of it. But there is no truth in that chocolate. So the chocolate that I'm talking about is, if I'm going to talk about creme brulee, when I'm talking about a chocolate mousse, it has to be made with the finest of the chocolate that is at least a culture in nature, to teach the students. So that is where the cost is. If you want to get great education in terms of baking and pastry, you have to spend on ingredients. So technically, the money that you are spending is not on the course fee; it is on the ingredients that is made available to you.
Got it.
So that's how it is. When I'm talking about an opera never originated in India. If you want to make it with cashew powder, you can make it, but don't call it as an opera. You make a croissant with a margarine. Margarine is a banned ingredient in the rest part of the world except certain Asian countries. And you are trying to make if you are telling that you made a croissant and you are selling it at 40 rupees, 100% it is made with margarine inside that. Margarine is carcinogenous in nature. When you're buying that 40 rupee croissant, you are not thinking about your health, or you are not aware about this. But my commitment is that my responsibility is not only to give you a world class curriculum, but also teach you the right way and the healthy way to eat a croissant. Obviously, the course is going to be expensive, but comparing to the best of the best schools in the world, I think the Indian pastry schools are not charging even 1/4 of it.
Yep.
And we have to import every ingredient. When you import it, there is another 28% tax on this. You want a world class oven, you cannot use a gas oven, you're forced to use an electric oven. It is not made in India, you're forced to import it. Then it has its cost factor to it. So when you're paying a course fee, you're not paying for the course fee alone, but also for the greatest ingredients that you are going to work with.
And the knowledge that you get.
I mean, of course, I mean, an institute is a place where you disseminate knowledge. Knowledge is one part of it, but why this place is expensive, or this particular culinary school is expensive? Because they spend on the ingredients, and you should be happy that they are not cutting corners.
Got it. Yep. So that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's So thanks a lot for your valuable time.
Thank you.
I know it's a busy schedule for you, promoting your book and all that stuff.
No, also, I'm not promoting the book.
Yeah.
I'm just creating awareness,
Awareness
about
about it. Yep.
it. Is that a strategy? No, it's not a strategy, because I want this book to reach to every Indian, every baker in the country as possible. But I had a great time. There were questions that no one asked in 20 years of my baking life. But thank you so much, and thank you so much for bringing back those memories of my school, college, um, my relationship with my partners, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much. You made my day.
Thank you.
If you have not read my book, I think I'm not trying to sell this, but um, it will be it will be one of its kind that you are going to invest on. It won't disappoint you.
So the link would be in the description box below. Go ahead
You
and
can ask it.
yeah, go ahead and order it. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.